You could argue globalization has gone into reverse since 2008.
Right.
In most things, that's because of protectionism, because of the credit bubble, because of all sorts of things. The only bit of globalization that's still working actually is data flows.
Right.
If you look at global data flows, they're exploding. They're growing even faster. The intra-regional things, extra-regional things are growing much faster. So that, I think, is very true. We're becoming more an information-based world. And so there's less, you don't need to be physically present as much.
Right.
So you can do stuff remotely. But that can, in a way, turn globalization even further back. Because the problem is we used to, when a big story for India was we've got all these talented guys, we can move stuff over to India to do software development. Now, a lot of that stuff is being automated. And you look at the share price of things like Infosys and Wipro, they're having a disaster because these jobs are going to go. The UK, we've got worries about Brexit with all these back office processing jobs. They're going anyway. In 10 years' time, there won't be a single one left. It'll all be blockchained or something like it.
Right.
And so it is, but it's very exciting because there's going to be some big winners of this. The main thing you've got to think about, though, is the hype. That it's so exciting how much is going to happen, but we do get overhyped about things.
Well, on the hype, because that is, I'm a techie as well, and I'm like, you can wake me in the middle of the night and talk about self-driving cars, and I'll like it as well. But the only thing is, I've never seen a prediction right. It's always, for timing issues, it's always wrong.
I mean, in fairness, Star Trek got it pretty right about what was going to happen, apart from teleportation. The guy who taught me, Paul Kleiser, he sort of said, look, everything we've ever been promised in tech, usually it happens. And usually when it happens, it's at least twice as big as anyone thought. The problem is it's nearly always 10 years late.
Yeah.
And so this is things like driverless cars. Are they going to happen? Absolutely. But they're going to happen later.
With the fourth industrial revolution, are we still in the, I think it's the Gartner hype cycle, like we hype it in the media and then there's the big disappointment and then it becomes, where are we in the hype cycle?
Oh, it depends what technology you want. I mean, the internet, we already went through the hype cycle at the start of the noughties, end of the 90s and start of the noughties. And we've now got, it's over-delivering. I think driverless cars, the technology is getting there. The problem is there's gating factors like regulation,
that's
things like
the
that.
hype cycle.
I mean, look, this is where we tend to make our money. Mostly it's the boring bit. I tend to make money out of boredom. So the internet sector, a great example of it. We got all this explosion of growth, and it's so exciting and wow. But the problem is, thousands and thousands of internet companies were formed with billions and billions of dollars, and they all fought. And the technology also wasn't there when we hoped it would be. And so you had this catastrophic collapse. When then, we went overweight the internet in 2004, and we've stayed there ever since because people have underappreciated what it can do. 3D printing is in that collapse stage. I think it's, getting to a point where it might start bottoming, but I'm not brave enough or clever enough to catch that bottom, but it's getting there. I think AI is still on the up curve of that because, talking to guys in the Valley, it is amazing what we're going to be able to do with it.
Right.
But, it may not even have crossed up onto the hype yet. It just depends.
Right. So you're a big fan of cloud computing.
Yes.
And where is cloud computing in the hype cycle?
I think we've actually, it's still underappreciated. I saw Amazon 2 weeks ago on the West Coast, and 90% of the meeting, I shared this with other people, was spent talking about Amazon retail. If I ask most people in this audience, what do Amazon do? You'd probably say they're a retailer.
Right.
The reason we own Amazon is they dominate cloud computing infrastructure. They are 4 times bigger than anyone else. They have 30% operating margins. 30% operating margins, and their revenues are growing at north of 50% per annum. And we have got about 7% of the world's workloads on cloud compute at the moment. Where's that going to go in 10 years' time?